I'm Big is an online talk show sharing what's working in a big way. It is about redefining what it means to be big. Hi everyone, and welcome to I Am Big, where you and I redefine big. Today we have a very special guest. Her name is Cassandra. Welcome, Cassandra.
Thank you.
Before anything, Cassandra was recently, has it been about a few months when you were given that beautiful title, Top 10 Lesbians to Look Out For in Chicago. Top 10 lesbians in Chicago for 2013 to look out for.
Look out.
Look out, everybody. Well, how long have you had that title? It's almost the end of 2013.
Yeah, I know. I have to accomplish some things really quickly, right?
Well, you're on the show.
It was February maybe that it came out.
So
looking
keeping
forward
it up. Well, Cassandra is a queer activist and a radical social worker. Most importantly to me, when I met you, I could just feel that you're a wonderful human being who cares. And I know you're very excited about Project Fierce, a great project you guys are working on. Tell everybody about Project Fierce, Cassandra.
Sure. So Project Fierce Chicago is a grassroots nonprofit. We're a collective of radical social workers, queer activists, housing advocates who are working to address LGBTQ youth homelessness in Chicago.
You know, I know that there are different initiatives for, obviously, the homeless youth issue, period. What are the needs of LGBTQ homeless youth different?
Yes, I'd say there are additional needs for folks who are LGBTQ identified. First off, the issue of homelessness in Chicago particularly is incredibly widespread. And for young folks, it's a very serious issue. Queer kids in general are overrepresented in
How would you
homeless.
describe queer? I think for a lot of people, watching also, I'm sure that they would love to, because you obviously have a lot of expertise in knowing what's going on. So how would you?
I have a doctor in queer, a doctorate.
Okay.
I'm Dr. Queer.
Okay.
No, I can make the definition a little clearer. So I use LGBTQ and queer interchangeably. Queer is used, for me at least, as an umbrella term that encompasses a lot of non-normative sexualities and gender identities. So anyone who falls into this sort of spectrum, to me, falls under the umbrella of queer. I was saying LGBTQ or queer young folks are overrepresented in homeless youth populations, like wildly overrepresented. LGBTQ folks in general are kind of guessed to be about 5 to 7% of the population, whereas LGBTQ identified youth are about 40 or 45% of homeless youth populations. So there's an enormous number, thousands at any given time in Chicago alone, of queer kids who are without a place to go home to, a place that's warm, a place that's safe, a place where they feel affirmed.
I feel very fortunate to have the family I've had, and I cannot imagine not having a home to go to. How does it work, not having a home to go to?
Big question, right? So yeah, as you said, I work with a lot of young folks who are home free or street based or homeless, however they identify. And it's incredibly difficult. If you think about sort of yourself in your youth and young adulthood, that alone is challenging and coming to identities and evolving. But to not have a place to be sort of grounded, all the other things that allow you to gain independence, like employment and income, sort of mental health and access to physical health care, community, all these things that are really important for security are really, really difficult if you don't have a simple thing as like being a place to call home. So it's a big need in Chicago, and we're trying to eke out a little corner, to make it a little better.
And you mentioned additional, LGBTQ youth have additional needs. What are some of those additional needs?
So competency from staff in shelters and programming. It's still, a lot of folks still don't have that, right? So for trans and gender nonconforming young folks especially, it's really difficult to access those spaces. Usually they're sex segregated, and sex segregated by sex assigned at birth. So if a trans or gender nonconforming young person comes in, they're often forced to be housed with their assigned sex, which doesn't respect their identity, can be emotionally damaging, and also can be physically dangerous for them.
What inspired you, to do this?
I've been working on this sort of idea for a number of years now, but I was most motivated by the need, constantly coming face to face with young folks who didn't have a place to go, and I just saw the need not being met. And I had also been really like embraced by queer community in Chicago. Most of my folks don't actually know about it, but when I moved here, I experienced a sort of series of really traumatic events that left me precariously housed and not with like a stable place. And I was really just disconnected. And I plugged into queer community, one beautiful soul in particular, who sort of brought me in and was the ambassador to me. And I felt really affirmed.
Here's
and
to the queer community.
And it's
Woo.
not perfect. We have our problems. But I felt really seen for the first time in that particular way. And it was really profound. I want to be able to connect with that to what queer community has given me. And I just feel like it's fundamental.
We're going to take a short break, and we're going to be back here with lovely Cassandra talking about Project Fierce. Stay tuned. No human being deserves to be told that they are small, because that ain't the truth. After being told that I was too fat to do anything and I will not make it, I made it, and I made it big, both professionally and personally. Now it's time to do something bigger, and I'm going to do it with you. I know I am big, and so are you. I'm Big is an online talk show sharing what's working in a big way. It is about redefining what it means to be big, to dream big, to act big, to grow big, and to share big. Because big goes way beyond size. Big is who we are and how we live. We are traveling around Chicagoland and beyond to bring you stories of everyday people doing big things. Join our movement today on iambig.com and share with us on Facebook, Pinterest, and Twitter. Sending you a hug from Chicago. We are back with lovely Cassandra, and she's going to be sharing with us some great stuff about Project Fierce. So where is Project Fierce today?
Oh my gosh, where aren't we? It is so much going on. So we publicly launched in April of this year, and we were initially just fundraising for our 501c3 fees. We had this overwhelming response from community. We raised like $15,000 in our first month. We were so grateful. So we've developed a ton of infrastructure. We've clarified and sort of set our values. Our collective has like tripled in size. And we've raised about 30% of our first year's operating budget. We really want to have most of our first year's operating budget before we sort of open doors. So our primary focus right now is raising that money. So we're meeting with foundations and we're talking to folks and we're making connections, but we're really looking to individuals because that big piece will be for us because we're non-institutional, because we're collective, because we're not seeking government funding, will be from individuals who are generous enough to give some of their hard-earned money to the cause.
Here is my question, and I think for the viewers as well. You know, let's break this down into, if I was a homeless LGBTQ youth, which I cannot even imagine. Honestly, from my core, I cannot imagine being a young person without a home to go to. There is nothing more fundamental than that. So anybody watching today, I think about if we did not have a home to go to. That's it. What if I wasn't, but assuming that I was, what can you do for me if I came to your door?
Well, at this point, we can offer support and referrals, but once
Next year,
we're open.
once it's open,
right?
Let's fast forward. 2014.
I'd love to.
You know, let's fast forward right now. 2014, August, September, whatever the hard date is, it opens. What will you do for me?
Well, what we aim to do and what we really want to do is to first off house you if you're
That's
part
huge,
of
by the way. That's
the population.
That's
I mean,
huge.
we will start small. This is going to start with one home, and we hope to have a whole empire of homes because we have thousands of homeless youth, so we need thousands of beds. But for young folks who come to us, we want to invite them into the community. We want to give them a space and their own independence, but also to have the resources they might need in terms of resume building, accessing income, accessing healthcare, the things that will help them to transition to independence.
So they'll stay there.
They'll stay there.
For how long?
The initial period is 2 years, and most transitional programs are around 2 years because it
And
sounds
what's
like...
the age group again?
Sure. So right now it would be from 18 to 26, so it's young adults. But for right now, that first period is transitional 2 years, which sounds like a lot of time, but actually isn't in terms of like getting grounded, dealing with all of the stuff that you've probably had to experience throughout your homelessness.
We here at I Am Big cannot thank you enough for having the heart to do something like this. How do you feel?
How do I feel? I'm incredibly excited.
Yeah.
This is something, like I said, I
Absolutely.
dreamed up sort of solo, and it has blossomed more quickly and in a more real way than I could have ever imagined. And my team, we have a leadership team and a general collective. They are some of the most fierce and phenomenal people I know. And I just know that this is going to happen. We're going to open this space. We're going to host and support and affirm young folks and hopefully continue to build. So I'm wildly excited.
Well,
if you
on
can't
that
tell.
note, let me give you the big wild. I am big band. So you can, as 2013 comes to an end,
I do.
You are nominated by I Am Big
Thank you.
as one of our big guests, who's
Aw.
lovely. Congratulations for everything you're doing.
Thank you so much.
We are very proud of you. You're doing it right here in Chicago for everybody watching. Tune in to iambig.com for more information on Cassandra and Project Fierce, and keep supporting. Thank you so much. Love you guys. See you soon.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Henry.
you. Thank you so much.